Well, I'm going to give it just a couple minutes as people are dialing in here. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Um, I wanted to, as we I see people are still coming in. We'll give it just a couple more moments there. All right, it is 12:02, and we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, my name is Evan Frazier. I'm the president and CEO of the Advanced Leadership Institute. It is such a pleasure to welcome all of you to this special session that we're doing, particularly around our National Executive Leadership Academy. For some of you may be familiar with TALI, the Advanced Leadership Institute, and we recognize that others may not. So we hope to give you an overview of TALI, our special relationship that we have with Carnegie Mellon, the Tepper School of Business, an incredible partner, and also share with you what the many give you an overview of the National Executive Leadership Academy, which is something we're super excited about. And we will give you a broad overview of our other programs, but we will focus in on that as well. First, let me share with everyone that we are recording this session. So for those who were not able to join us, they'll be able to view online. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that we are recording this session. All right. So let me just walk you through the agenda for today. The next slide will just kind of give you a broad overview. We're going to talk about the Advanced Leadership Institute, or TALI for short. Some of you may have just heard of us as TALI, but we want to give you an overview of our programs and what's happening there. As I mentioned, we also want to talk to you about this important partnership and link we have with Carnegie Mellon, their School of Business, and we're delighted to. We actually have Dr. Susan Kaplan, who's with us today, to share a little bit more about what Carnegie Mellon brings to the table, and it is significant. And then third, we're going to go a little bit more in detail about the National Executive Leadership Academy, and talk to you about what's involved, the components that are involved. We also have a special alumni from our National Executive Leadership Academy who's going to be here to share with you just her experiences. Then we're going to talk to you about the tuition structure and then do Q&A. And our goal is by the end of this session today, you'll have much more information. You have a better sense of the benefits of participating and whether this is the right program for you. And also, we hope that following this session, you will decide to apply for the National Executive Leadership Academy or the appropriate program that we offer that may be of benefit to you. And hopefully you'll also share it with your friends as well. All right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So first, about TALI, the concept of TALI was written back in 2016, and so we launched our first Executive Leadership Academy in 2019, and we've really been building ever since. But let's give you the broad brush. Our mission at the Advanced Leadership Institute is to cultivate Black executive leadership to strengthen companies, institutions, and communities. And our vision, is not just about educating. It's about educating, developing, connecting, and positioning Black leaders for advancement. That's really important. We recognize that it's a broad perspective that's really needed in order to be able to move forward in the right ways and be positioned for the future. At the end of the day, how do we create a more diverse, inclusive, and prosperous community or communities, plural, as we continue to move towards our vision? Values are also very important to us. We have core values. These are things that we hold ourselves accountable to. These are things that we promote within our cohorts, but in all our relationships. And it's about integrity at the top of you can see at the top of the screen, integrity, excellence, leadership, innovation, and community. These are not just words on a piece of paper. They mean something to us. These are things that drive us each and every day, and we are truly committed to our core values. From a historical perspective, as I mentioned, the vision for TALI was created back in 2016. Had the opportunity to start to socialize that within our region and later more broadly. We launched our first program in partnership with Carnegie Mellon University, the Tepper School of Business, called the Executive Leadership Academy. And again, it was really designed as a way to initially position participants for meaningful advancement, both in corporate as well as community roles. So that we had our first cohort in 2019. In 2020, we had our second cohort, and we continue to build upon the success each year as we continue to look and build and evolve. In 2021, in addition to the Executive Leadership Academy, we launched the Emerging Leaders Program. When we started TALI as an initiative back in 2016, it was an initiative. In 2021 is when we created the Institute. And so we are a separate 501c3 charitable nonprofit that launched in 2021 at that level. And we launched our Emerging Leaders Program. And you're going to hear a little bit more about our programs in just a few minutes. And then in 2023, we expanded and launched the National Executive Leadership Academy. And so you're going to hear more about it. These are for senior level managers and executives who have higher level aspirations. And so we're super excited that we had a very successful launch of the National Executive Leadership Academy in 2023, and looking forward to launching the second cohort of the National Executive Leadership Academy in September of this year. Through TALI, we have a number of leadership development programs, starting again with the Executive Leadership Academy. We are now in our sixth cohort of that program. Our next graduation will be this July. We have a cohort that will graduate just shortly. Super excited about the way that has developed and connected with people, and looking forward to growth there. The National Executive Leadership Academy as well. And that's one of the things we're going to spend the most time today talking about, and what that means and who should apply and all those kind of things. So we hope to answer your questions about the National Executive Leadership Academy. We have the Emerging Leaders Program. And again, the Emerging Leaders Program, this is tends to be for people, could be for individual contributors or early managers. We usually look for people who have at least 3 to 5 years of professional experience to apply for the Emerging Leaders Program. But we have people at various degrees across industries for emerging leaders as well, similar to the Executive Leadership Academy and the National Program. This year, we'll be piloting for the first time our Unlocking Leadership Excellence Workshop. This is really targeting leaders, frontline leaders. And so this is something that is exclusive for our sponsor organizations. It's done as a workshop to assist and help invest in talent within various companies. And then you'll hear a little bit about our alumni programming today. And our alumni, once you graduate from any of our programs, whether it's the Executive Leadership Academy, the National Executive Leadership Academy, or Emerging Leaders, you will become an official TALI alumni. We have amazing programs on the alumni side, so we're going to tell you a little bit about that. We're deeply committed to our alumni for the rest of their careers. So let's transition and give you a little bit of an overview of various programs here. So we have the National Executive Leadership Academy, and I think at this point we will transition this over. Actually, let me start here. So for the National Executive Leadership Academy, as you can see, it's either executives or senior managers, or what I like to think of as mid-level managers who have higher level aspirations. This particular program, in addition to getting top tier prominent academic researchers and having an amazing business school faculty, and we pull on leaders from across the country. There's a focus on both strategy as well as global strategy. And so there's a particular focus there. But there's also a uniqueness in our programs in terms of we really do target and focus them particularly as it relates to the African American or Black experience, I should say. And which makes the programming that we do very, very unique and very beneficial. At this time, I'd like to pass it along to, and you can see let me just say, you can see our cohort here. This is our first National Executive Leadership Academy cohort. And so we're really glad you'll be having a chance to meet one of them a little bit later in the session today. So it's my pleasure now to turn it over to Dr. Susan Kaplan. Dr. Kaplan is one of our close partners from Carnegie Mellon, the Tepper School, and what a pleasure it is to have you here today. And you've been here from the very beginning. And so I'm just going to turn it over to you to give your to share some remarks.
Oh, thank you so much, Evan, and thank you for inviting us to be a part of this webinar. It's been a pleasure to partner with TALI since it was just a vision for you, and to see it since 2019 continue to grow and build an alumni network has been transformational. So thank you. I am Dr. Susan Kaplan. I'm the Director of Open Enrollment Executive Education Programs here at the Tepper School of Business at Carnegie Mellon University. And it's my pleasure to be with you this afternoon to talk to you a little bit about the academic programming that's involved in the National Executive Leadership Academy. So you may already know about Carnegie Mellon University and the Tepper School of Business. This is the part of the webinar where hopefully it's okay for me to brag a little bit. But in the last year, the Tepper School of Business's online MBA has been ranked #2 in the nation by US News and World Report, Financial Times, and Fortune magazine. So coming to the Tepper School of Business, you're getting one of the best business schools in the country, absolutely. Also, since 2008, over 400 startups have been founded in the walls of the Tepper School of Business. So we really try to walk the walk and talk the talk in terms of leading innovation and having our participants and our students apply what they learn at Tepper to real world experiences, applying it to startups or their organizations. But I think what really sets Tepper apart from other business schools is the way that we approach business education. We look at it as an interdisciplinary field. So we talk about business education as being the intersection of business, emerging technology, and human leadership and human decision-making. So in all of our sessions, when you hear from our faculty and the other faculty we work with, we're going to be thinking about things from all three angles. And I think if you know Carnegie Mellon University's reputation, you know that we have great advanced degrees in computer science and artificial intelligence. And so that kind of emerging technology is also infused throughout the way that we look at business education. All participants in the National Executive Leadership Academy receive a certificate of completion from Carnegie Mellon University's Tepper School of Business. And you also have the opportunity to earn credits towards our certificate in executive leadership, which is the highest credential that Tepper Executive Education awards. And I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions in chat if you have any questions about the certificates or our programs at Tepper as well. To dig in a little bit to what the curriculum looks like for the National Executive Leadership Academy, we can go forward to the next slide. So in partnership with TALI, we founded the pillars of the program to be the world-class curriculum, that kind of business school education that's grounded in the specific challenges that Black leaders face in the workplace, as well as executive coaching. Each participant is paired with an executive coach of their choice and receives one-on-one sessions to apply what you're learning in the classroom to your organization and the specific challenges you're facing in your workplace. We also, our third pillar is mentorship, and we will support you in identifying a mentor, ideally someone who is outside of your organization and at least 2 levels above you. And the goal of developing a mentorship relationship is to help expand your network, because we know that so often as you climb the corporate ladder, it's not about applying for jobs or having the right resume, but it's about who you know and having your name spoken in rooms where you don't have access to. So we want to help you grow your executive network through mentorship. And then finally, the peer network of your cohort. You saw the picture of our 16 participants from our inaugural National Executive Leadership Academy. And we hear so often from TALI alumni that it's really that peer network that's transformational in their careers. And of course, by joining a TALI program, you also have access to the entire TALI community, which is now over 200 alumni. So thinking about what's included in the world-class curriculum bucket of our 4 pillars, I want to tell you a little bit about what you'll experience in the classroom when you're at Carnegie Mellon University. So there are 3 different modules within the National Executive Leadership Academy, and I know Calvin will also talk about this a little bit more. But the first module focuses on personal leadership and thinking about who you want to be as a leader. What are your values, and how do you make sure that they're aligned with your work? In the second module, we start to think about leadership opportunities. How can you demonstrate your value at work? And that's where we'll talk about emerging technology and AI, as well as innovation and strategy. And then in the final module, as Evan mentioned, we shift to having a global focus, thinking about global strategy for organizations that are interested in expanding, macroeconomic implications of shifting technology, as well as intercultural negotiations. And all of these sessions are taught by world-class faculty, not just from the Tepper School of Business, but from across the country. For example, we have Dr. Valerie Purdy-Greenaway from Columbia University, who joins us for a session in the first module to talk about how executives of color can lean into resilience in their work. We also have Michelle Duguid from Cornell University, who talks about managing conflict. And Professor Emeritus at Boston University, Walter Fluker, talks about community grounding and ethical leadership. You'll also hear from Tepper School of Business faculty who are leaders in their field and performing cutting-edge research. Dr. Rosalind Chow is one of the foremost researchers on mentorship networks, and she will present on that topic during the first module. We also hear from Leanne Meyer, who's the former head of the Accelerate Leadership Center here at the Tepper School of Business, talking about building your leadership brand for success. And in the third module, you'll hear from Dr. Lawrence Allais from the Tepper School of Business. He is an economist who will talk about the global implications of generative AI technology and how that's going to change your organizations as well as work functions. All of these sessions are led by faculty who integrate hands-on simulations, case studies, as well as personal application. So as you exit each session, the discussion question will always be, how do you take this information back to your workplace and apply it on a day-to-day basis to continue to grow and learn and accomplish your professional goals? So that's a very high-level overview of what we cover in the program. Evan, is there anything that you would add?
No, thank you. That was great, Susan. We really appreciate that. Next, we have Calvin Stovall, who is our Director of Executive Programs at the Advanced Leadership Institute at TALI, and he's going to tell a little bit more to build upon what Dr. Susan Kaplan shared regarding our National Executive Leadership Academy. Calvin.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you all so much for joining us today to hear about our exciting programs. I'm going to get a little bit more detail about what we look for in an ideal candidate for our program, particularly for the National Executive Leadership Academy. You can go on to the next slide, please. So, who should attend this program? Well, of course, we're looking for senior level managers and executives. And usually we have people they're usually directors or above are usually the roles that we have, particularly. And so there's usually directors, or sometimes we may have some senior managers, but most of the time the directors or vice presidents are in this program. And of course, they're from across all the states in the United States. As far as industries, it can be from pretty much any industry, tech, legal, consumer goods, insurance, shipping, etc. It's wide open there, for-profit as well as nonprofit. But we do want people with a certain level of work experience, at least 10 years, and we entrepreneurial, nonprofit, government, just like we've listed here. But we really want to make sure we have participants within the program that can add, because we have a lot of dialogue in our sessions, a lot of exercises, group projects, and things of that nature. And we want to make sure the person that's coming in has enough experience and background to contribute, particularly to the cohort during those exercises and conversations. We also look for people, if you do have board experience, of course, that's an added value. It's not absolutely necessary, but it is a qualification that we do look at if you do have sat on boards or currently sit on boards. And actually, we really want to make sure there's people that aspire to grow into a C-suite role or an executive position within your organization. And again, it can be for-profit, nonprofit, community roles, government, and things of that nature. So we're really looking for a well-rounded person that has been in a corporate environment or government environment or things of that nature, but have really led teams, have also led maybe some projects, maybe big scale projects, project teams, and things of that nature. So it can vary. When we go through the application process, I mean, we look at all of these things and really want to make sure we put people into the program that is going to be a good fit for them particularly, but we want to make sure that the person can add value to the cohort that they're in as well. Next slide, please. All right, so the National Executive Leadership Academy program, we have, because we're going to have people coming in from all, from various states, it's broken up into 3 modules. The first module we call Personal Leadership Reflection. It takes place live, and it's the week of September 9th through the 13th is the first week. And it's really kind of an opportunity for the cohort to really get to know each other, but it's also an opportunity to really look at your leadership brand. There's a reflected best self exercise that you'll go through, where you ask people that have worked with you and give a I guess you could say a commentary on what you look like when you're operating at your best self, and that's used to really talk about come up with your leadership style and things of that nature. And that all of that first week takes place at the Carnegie Mellon Tepper School of Business. So you'll be there live. And we do, take care of your lodging while you're there. The second module is online. So we do 2 online sessions per month in October and November. So there'll be 4 online sessions. And we dig into, managing teams, people in teams, strategic innovation and leadership, also corporate governance and things of that nature. So those sessions, of course, you'll be able to do from home. But then we did add for this cohort, for this upcoming year, we do have 1 2-day kind of like a mini get together. We did find that in our last research from our last cohort, they found that, they wanted to get together one more time. So we put this session together. We'll talk, we're going to customer focused leadership and another session on leadership as well. And it probably, we're looking at Dallas because that's pretty much a central place that everyone can get to pretty easily. But we'll have like a mini, a mini get together, a dinner or something, and do a 1-day session together again. And then the third module, we'll get together again, and it'll also take place at Carnegie Mellon Tepper School of Business, and we'll be there for a week together again. And we'll talk a lot about change, but we also get into things like asset framing. We make sure the National Academy has more of a global focus. So we will cover, understanding global trends, ethical leadership, things of that nature. So it's like a hybrid model that we take on this approach here. So that's how it lays out. There's an opportunity for us to engage. We get together, and what you'll find about our cohort is they really bond together. It's really great to see. You'll find, I know Lex is going to talk more about the alumni coming up soon, but you'll find the experience where you'll have lifelong friends after coming through a program like this. Is absolutely phenomenal, and I do encourage you to apply because it's just a great life-changing experience. So that's it.
Right.
All right.
Thank you so much, Calvin. That gives an overview of the 3 modules. And next, I'd like to introduce to you our Vice President of Operations, Alexis Steels, who's going to share a little bit about the alumni experience.
Thank you, Evan. Next slide, please. During our leadership programs, we often hear from our participants that they cannot believe that their time in their TALI program is coming to an end. To that, we often say that it's not the end, it's only really the beginning. The moment our participants receive their certificate of completion, they are welcomed into our TALI alumni family. Today, we have over 200 Black professionals that we are proud to call TALI alum. For our TALI alum, continuing education, including our TALI Talks, where we bring in expert speakers and panelists to spark conversation on very relevant topics. We also offer our TALI boards and community connect calls, where we connect professionals and nonprofit organizations with our TALI alum to share opportunities such as board opportunities and volunteer activities, which position our alumni for greater success and beneficial community outreach. TALI offers a LinkedIn consortium that allows our alumni network to share information and to stay up to date with all of our TALI happenings. Last, but certainly not least, from social and cultural events to sporting events and recreational events to awards programs and happy hours, our TALI alum have the opportunity to stay connected, engaged, and gain exposure. Next slide, please. As this slide shows, our TALI alumni are well positioned to contribute to their organizations and communities at a much higher level. Our Executive Leadership Academy 2020 results show that 96% of our cohort members were promoted or received increased responsibilities. And our Executive Leadership Academy from 2019 survey results show that 87% of our cohort members were promoted or received increased responsibility. Evan, I will turn it back over to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Alexis. As we keep the slide on the screen, I just wanted to share just a couple thoughts. One is that this is very significant. When we started out, part of our goal was we wanted to see, we saw the energy, we saw how excited people were, we saw the confidence that people had coming out of the program. But the statistics, as we started to measure people for 2 years out, was really significant. And so we had within, as Alexis shared, our very first year for the Executive Leadership Academy, within those 2 years, it started at 87%, and then year 2 went to 96%. So you could see it was definitely moving in the right direction. And for all of our programs, evaluation and outcomes is really critical. And so these are very, very significant things, and the outcomes that we get for each of our programs have not only helped us to hone the program to make it, even better, but it's also showed demonstrated value that people get out of the program. And even the statistics that came out of our post survey for the National Executive Leadership Academy were very, very strong. And so we're very proud of that, and we're going to continue to build. At this time, I believe we have one of our alumni who is, in fact, will be joining us here in just a second.
Come on, Evan.
Oh, great. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Raquel Ettrick Thompson. She just completed the National Executive Leadership Academy, the inaugural cohort. Thank you so much for being here, Raquel. You are an incredible director at Managing Director and Global Head of Technology and Cyber at BNY. A week ago, it was BNY Mellon. This week is BNY.
Yes, as of yesterday, it's
Yes.
Bank of New York, BNY. So
We'll turn
yes,
it over to you. Please share some of your thoughts and experiences with this group, please.
awesome. I'm so excited to be here, Evan, and thank you for having me share some of what I've garnered from the program. I literally still today connect with my cohort. Every city that I'm in, I travel quite a bit. We connect with each other. We keep up with each other's families, keep up with each other's progress. So one of the biggest things that garnered is the networking and relationships that TALI brings to the table. So from a cohort perspective, we were able to form, unbreakable bonds that evolved over the time, not only during our class, but at some of the offsite events that we participated in with TALI as well as Carnegie Mellon. So from a networking perspective, not only have I been able to recommend some of my cohorts and peers to roles and potential growth opportunities, but also been able to both receive coaching and mentoring in respective areas. All of us are not ever intended to know everything. So it's always good to have a group of people that you can trust to have iron sharpen iron. And what I call my cohort is just that. That's my personal board of directors that helps me not only in day-to-day situations. In most cases, and Evan knows I've shared this with him before, being a senior person of color in an organization such as mine, there are very few and far between. I was able not only to connect with individuals in my cohort that were at my level, but also individuals in previous cohorts from other financial services institutions where we've built relationships and now find opportunities to make sure where we're working on similar topics, we're able to not only glean from each other, but leverage things that we've each created. So from a themes perspective, I would say the networking and the relationship building is unparamount with being a part of the program. The second piece I'd like to highlight is the academic instruction at CMU, as well as the external speakers that TALI has brought in. They put us through, it's not just what I would say, you sit and receive instruction. It's more very much interactive. I learned about strategy building. We had an experience, which I still talk to even some of my mentees about today, where we were each formulated into teams and we had to negotiate a particular terms of an agreement between varying countries. And each of us were given a scenario to follow. And within that scenario exercise, we kept getting thrown like what we would call like wrenches in our plans. It forced us not only to think critically, but I use those strategies for negotiation in my day-to-day work today, whether it's with vendors, whether it's, negotiating with hiring new resources or external consultants. Those negotiation strategies builded upon my business acumen to help me be a better leader, a better negotiator, and a better business person. I work in the engineering division primarily on tech and cyber risk. Most people think, you're in engineering, you don't have to know and understand the business. But the reality of it is business skills are critical, regardless of where you sit, whether it's engineering, operations, some of the corporate functions. So the skills were transferable across various industries. So from a programmatic perspective, they made sure that what we garnered from those experiences, not only did we have reflection exercises to be able to put them into practical application, but we also got a chance to ask questions of some of the most world-renowned professors that are out there that are teaching this to some of the most cutting-edge business leaders. So, and lastly, the third thing I would say is from a soft skills or social aspect. We had presentations not only on business strategy, but understanding the cognitive mind and how to apply both cognitive questioning, cognitive theory to your day-to-day work. Let's be real, like oftentimes, as people of color, we are seen as a certain, I'll say, stereotype. Oh, she's too, she's an angry Black woman, or she's too bold, or she's too this. Some of those soft skills workshops helped us to think about how we can preempt some of those unconscious biases that people have in business to help to continue to help us accelerate in our careers. It's all strategy. It's all a chess game. And the more you understand the strategy, how the brain thinks, how others are perceiving you, how you are receiving that feedback, and then subsequently implementing it, was the third, I would say, most paramount thing that I garnered from the program. So there's so much that I could share, and I know that we only have a limited time, but at the three highlights, I would say those are the three things: that the networking and the relationships with my cohort, the business strategy and business sense, and then lastly, just the soft skills and interacting with people and what I would call emotional intelligence growth. So Evan, I don't know if there's specific questions but I just wanted to highlight at a high level, those are the things that I got most from the program.
Thank you so much, Raquel. We really appreciate you sharing. And if you'll be able to hang out for the Q&A part, I'm sure there will be folks who have some questions as we go along here, which will be great.
Absolutely.
Yep, wonderful. So next, let me just share with you, there is a cost to the program. The tuition cost, there's a slide. To participate in the National Executive Leadership Academy is $20,000. But what it does includes the 2 1-week periods of time, both in September and in December, where you will be in Pittsburgh at Carnegie Mellon, and we have a great hotel experience that you would have while you're here with your fellow cohort members. So that is included in the tuition cost. Our plan, as we were building TALI and as we were building the program, was not to put a burden on you personally. The goal would be to get the company to invest in their diverse talent, right? And so for what we try to encourage everyone to do is, if you're interested, certainly we want you to apply. We also want you to go to your organization and ask them to invest in this experience for you. And so that is what we do in the majority of cases. There are some who do opt to self-fund, but we do try to encourage the companies, your employer, to invest in your future development, because we want them to be a part of this experience with you. We do have people across sectors, in the public sector, in the private sector, and certainly for nonprofits and public, there is some level of opportunity for scholarships. but it would be limited. We still want the employers to invest in their talent. And so from that standpoint, there is opportunity. There is a competitive program, but we certainly we want to keep the door open for all those who are able to participate really at the highest level. So at this point, why don't we take the screen down so that we can just talk a little bit, answer questions that you may have out there about either the program or the tuition or the process. I know we have a lot of you. We're grateful that all of you took the time today to join us. I will just share one more thing. We have numerous programs in various, both the Executive Leadership Academy, which is in Pittsburgh. It's 7 months here in Pittsburgh. We have we spoke more about the National Executive Leadership Academy, and that's it will tend to be for people who are outside of the Pittsburgh region. It doesn't mean that there are no exceptions, because we do believe that there are people who are here in Pittsburgh. We typically will direct people to our Pittsburgh program because it'll be an opportunity for people to be able to connect with their peers throughout the region. And it's 7 months instead of the 4 months for the national. But there are always exceptions for every role and reasons for people to participate in one program versus the other. So I will just share that. But let's open up for questions. And I can't imagine this would be a shy group. So hopefully someone, hopefully someone's also monitoring the
Chat. Yeah, you can put your questions in the chat as well.
Yeah. Or you could just unmute yourself and ask your question. You're welcome to do that. Yeah. As we are waiting for questions, I'll just share a couple additional thoughts here to kind of reinforce our upcoming cohort for the National Executive Leadership Academy will begin in September, as you recall, and it will conclude in December. So you will be officially alumni by December. And applications, people will apply on the website. So we have a website, which is taliinstitute.org. That's www.taliinstitute.org. The deadline for application, I see the question is being asked. We're asking people to apply by July 1st. And so you would just go on to our website, taliinstitute.org, and fill out the application. It does request that you attach a resume to that as well. So we hope you'll take time to do that and be thoughtful in the application. It's not a long application, but we are really looking for, you're trying to understand your priorities, your leadership, your rationale for how you might benefit by this experience. And so I hope that answered the question about the upcoming application deadline. Other questions?
Evan, hi, this is Dion Roundtree. How are you? And
hello, Dion.
Hello, everyone. It's been a pleasure to learn about TALI as well as participate as one of the facilitators. One of the questions I have, because you are now going national, I wanted to find out your thoughts about Florida in particular, because we are being quite impacted, as you know, because of the political landscape. And one of my largest clients just said they had to shut down their diversity program that they had in-house as a result of what's happening politically and lawsuits, litigation. So I'm wondering, for an organization whose heart is bent on truly developing their Black leaders, what advice would you give someone like myself who talks about TALI and perhaps can support this larger organization who, had an in-house program, and even worked with an outside organization like yourself, but has decided, due to what's going on here, particularly in Florida, to stall their program, pause it, and just wanted to see, how you're managing that particular aspect of it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Browntree. We appreciate the question. And Florida is a very extreme case of what we're seeing play out as it relates to not only this notion of this attack on DEI, and we know that's very much politically motivated, and so we understand that. Florida just takes it to a whole nother extreme. And I think that's one way that TALI can be a benefit to both, not only, well, certainly to any individuals who are going through that kind of experience, because I think we can provide the right type of context and support for individuals who are going through that experience. And it doesn't have to be just in Florida. I mean, I think we all face that as being the one or just one of a few, senior level folks at various companies and organizations. It's something we could, TALI will benefit the individual, absolutely. But we also benefit the company. And the way we benefit the company is that, very often, particularly in an environment like Florida, where, they're trying to make DEI, to try to criminalize DEI, right? And which is just absolutely absurd. But we could be partners with those companies because while they may have a difficult time internally being able to structure programs like ours, we can do it externally, and it's not an issue for us. And they can support and send people to the Advanced Leadership Institute or TALI programs across the board, and we still fit within the legal realm of what people can do along those lines. So I think we could be a strong partner for organizations and individuals in Florida. As a whole, what we're dealing with in our society right now, where there's a lot more caution around DEI, this is about executive advancement. TALI is about leadership development. That's what we're about. And so there's no organization that can really deny the importance of how that would be for their success. And I think we provide a way of doing it that we can help to develop, Black talent. And we do it in a way where we're not being exclusionary, but we are very focused, and we do develop our talent in such a way that it really we do target our curriculum to specifically deal with the challenges that Black professionals face, and that's even more critical now than ever before. So that's really, really important. So thank you for bringing that question up, Dion. We really appreciate that.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you.
I see Danielle.
Danielle, Danielle has a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I believe it was Ms. Steels that brought up the description that talked about individuals who participated who had promotion or increased responsibility after attending the program. Outside of that metric, how does TALI measure the long-term success and impact of the participants? Are there any other metrics that you're looking at over time to track alumni progress, as well as their impact within their individual silos or communities?
Yep. I'm happy to defer it to Alexis, but Alexis, if you want me to take that, I'll be happy to address it.
Sure, Evan, if you don't mind, thank you.
Sure. So we do look at a number of long-term measures. Initially, some of the programming that would take place in Pittsburgh, we also we measure retention in the region because we knew that was a challenge. We have Black professionals that would continue to, it'd be a revolving door. And we're very proud that our alumni, people coming out of our programs, we measure that for a couple of years after they complete the program. Our retention rate's in the 90th percentile. And which is very, very strong. And it's amazing. You have people who would start out the program and say, by the way, this is amazing. I'm so glad I'm doing this. You know what? I'm probably going to be leaving the city, and of course, 7 months later, when they complete the program, these same folks are getting promoted. They're buying real estate. And part of it is that bond that Raquel talked about, of how tight-knit the bonds have become. And that same bond has extended itself to our national program, as you heard Raquel talking about how tightly networked the national cohort is across the country. And so we are looking at metrics that talk about retention, We will be looking at going forward, organizational retention. We're going to keep looking at expanded promotions and expanded responsibility, because that really is at the core. Are people growing? Are people advancing? Are people getting more responsibility? Those are all very, very critical. I think there are also metrics that we'll be able to look at as it relates to how they benefit as alumni and how engaged they are as alumni. So we are looking at that. There are some community benefits. There are things we're doing in our alumni program which deal with, being placed on boards. We have both corporate as well as nonprofit board placement, and we'll be able to measure those type of things as we go forward. So there are a cross-section of measures, both that we're doing today as well as things that we'll be putting in place in the future. I will tell you as well, I see Susan shaking her head. Carnegie Mellon, we measure every program, and you'll see we evolve each of our modules every year to strengthen our program. So we have now completed, come July, we will have completed 10 cohorts. In every one of those cohorts, we've learned critical lessons, both from online as well as in-person learning. We learn what faculty work, which sessions come across in the right way, which sessions need tweaks, and which that and we keep evolving the curriculum. We take that very serious. We take our feedback that we very, very serious, both the cohort feedback, the pre and post feedback, as well as during the modules in the program. So I hope that helps to answer the question about some of the long-term impacts. I think it's the right question to ask, and we are very, very deliberate about the measurements we take.
It does.
Yeah, Evan, if I could just add to that from an alumni perspective, just beyond the metrics, Danielle, I think what you're looking for is the post-return value, right? And I would say I've been presented with board opportunities based on just listening to what's available. One of the biggest questions I came into the program asking Evan is, how can I get on a board? How can I look at board service? For the alumni, they have, I believe it's quarterly session, where they bring boards that are looking for individuals of diverse backgrounds. Gives you an opportunity to hear about the organization, to hear if it's something of interest. It doesn't obviously guarantee you a slot, but at least it's exposure to know where to look, which is oftentimes one of the things that challenges us most. In addition to that, we have check-ins, just to check from a social and emotional aspect, because sometimes just being the one, the only, the senior is emotionally heavy. And that to me sometimes becomes more value than any metric can give you, right? The last piece I'll say beyond that, both the board service and metrics and opportunities, I know that when I go to Pittsburgh, and I reach out to Evan, if I have a scenario going on, all of the TALI staff, from Shelley to Evan to Calvin, they make themselves personally available to me. So it's not I left the program and I'm never going to hear from these people again. I talk to them, I hear from them. You see me here because I see the value in the program. And that's not something that I think, every measure can be measured, right? And so just being exposed, which is sometimes one of the biggest gaps to promotion and growth, being exposed to the right people in the right rooms that can speak your name in rooms that you're not in. From TALI, I've gotten opportunities to be on network TV. I've gotten opportunities for articles, opportunities to speak at conferences. You can't really measure exposure, right?
Right.
And exposure is something that, you and I both know, if you become a household name, everybody, when you watch a commercial, at Like a Good Neighbor, State Farm is there, you want to be the State Farm, and TALI helps you do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Raquel, for that additional insight. Appreciate it.
Thank you. One other thing Raquel just shared, I just wanted to mention is that, part of the value I think that's created in all our cohorts is we try to create a safe space where we can have very sensitive dialogue about, how does race play itself out in organizations, and how do we learn from those experiences? How do we learn from one another? Very often, it's very difficult to have these kind of conversations safely back in your own organizations, and to be able to have a group that you can have these kind of important, intimate conversations, to be able to build and learn from other people. That like you said, that there's invaluable lessons from being able to do that. And that's something goes back to even what Dion, what you said earlier. It's difficult to create that environment, to create that kind of connection within the organization itself. So you get out there and you feel isolated sometimes as a Black professional. I know I did. I've spent many years in corporate America. I was 11 years as senior vice president for a healthcare organization, and there are positives, but being able to have that connection, that dialogue, to be able to talk in a way and learn from each other is very, very powerful. So, I'm sorry, Calvin, you were going to say something.
No. Go ahead, Evan. I was just going to address that. I saw a question around cohort size, maximum number of cohorts can register. We're taking all applications. So most of the cohorts that have come through, they've usually ranged between 21 to 25, 26. So that's an ideal size, but we take as many applications as we can. So please don't hesitate to apply. So we have a selection team that goes through the application with detail. And again, we're looking for the right attributes, and but the number of applications that come through can be 3, 4, 5-fold. We have a team to help do that.
Absolutely. We only have just a couple minutes left, so to respect everyone's time, was there any other question that anyone might have?
Evan, this is Dion again. I do want to say, just from my experience being a workshop presenter for programs like TALI, including TALI, what I have found from a corporate standpoint, the employees who are afforded the opportunity to participate in these programs, they are endeared to their companies. They are tremendously grateful that their company would go out on a limb to provide these kinds of programs, support and sponsor their employees. So your companies individually, as long as there's no other forces that's coming against them, once they really allow their employees to be a part of it, it shows that their companies really care about their Black employees and are sincere about promoting from within and professional development. And so if you share your experience here today, and those of you who have already gone through TALI's program, you'll find that the company's retention rates are improved. Their engagement is improved as well. So it's not just the individual employees, but the company's, the morale of their employees and the company's retention rate of their Black professionals will be impacted positively.
Thank you for sharing that. Very, very much the case. As we are finishing up here, I did want to just remind everyone about our website again, which is taliinstitute.org, the TALI institute.org. That's where you can complete your application. Calvin, myself, Alexis, all of us, even Susan, all of us are here to answer any questions that you may have. If you're trying to sort out which program, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to have that conversation with you. But I want to encourage you to go ahead and apply. Again, it's not a long application, but we want you to be thoughtful in that. We have a review committee. We try to make sure that we maintain, the standard that we need in each program. But we know we have a lot of amazing talent out there, and we're grateful that all of you came out today to hear more about the program. Thank you all so much, and I see friends out there. I won't call everyone out today, but I see you out there. Thank you for chiming in today, and we're really looking forward to your participation. We're excited about you. We're excited about this opportunity, and really can't wait. This is going to be a phenomenal cohort coming up, as well as for all of our programs. So look forward to more dialogue. Have an amazing day.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.